You've been told that you cannot retire in the United States on a budget and be comfortable and feel safe and have access to quality health care. Not true. There are states that are flying under the radar that offer comfort, better value, and lots of perks without the high cost. The question for you is, are you willing to trade endless summer for beautiful 4 seasons? If you are, then yes, you have more options than the typical spots. To help you find your best bang for your buck in retirement, Wallet Hub compared all the states. And this was more than just comparing tax rates and cost of living. This was taking into account access to quality health care as well as access to fun activities. Let's take a closer look at these top picks and see if any of these choices may work for you. First up is Delaware. Now this may shock you, but Delaware actually nabbed the top spot for retirement in 2024. It did, however, fall to number 8 in 2025, but Delaware is not a state to be ignored. I actually lived in Delaware for 5 years and I loved it. It's got beaches, it's got college towns, it's got history and charm. Heck, it's even got NASCAR. Delaware is a very small state, no doubt, which is why it probably flies under the radar for a lot of people. But its size could actually be a positive thing, especially in retirement. The entire state is only 96 miles long and 35 miles wide at its widest point, which means that you can get anywhere fairly quickly in the entire state. What I'm trying to tell you here is that things like healthcare, activities, entertainment aren't all that far away in a state the size of Delaware. Delaware happens to be one of the most tax-friendly states. It has no sales tax, it does not tax your Social Security benefits, and it offers generous exemptions for other retirement income, including pensions and 401ks. But it doesn't stop there. Delaware also provides a property tax relief for property owners over the age of 65. These senior homeowners qualify for a senior school property tax credit, which can reduce your property taxes by $400 annually. And considering that the state's property taxes are already low to begin with, this is just an added bonus once you hit age 65. And not that Delaware doesn't have excellent health care, but the city of Philadelphia, which does offer excellent health care choices, is not that far away. Okay, let's move out to the west now and talk about Colorado. Our western states really should not be ignored for retirement, especially if you prefer mountains over beaches. Colorado actually nabbed the number 2 spot in 2024 and took number 3 in 2025. This is mostly because in addition to being tax-friendly, it has no estate or inheritance tax, it also has activities and wellness going for it. Colorado has the 4th highest percentage of seniors who are in good health. Plus, it has very few residents over the age of 65 who live in poverty. And it has the 3rd highest percentage of seniors who are physically active. When I think of Colorado, I automatically think being outdoors and hiking. And I'm not a hiker by any means. Thankfully, being active means more than just lacing up a pair of hiking boots. Colorado has the 6th most volunteer opportunities, the 9th most scenic byways, and the 11th most theaters per capita. Last I checked, all of these qualified as legitimate activities. One final note, because healthcare is critical in retirement, Colorado has the 10th best geriatrics hospitals in the country. We're going to stay out west and talk about Wyoming. Chances are if I had to point Wyoming out on a map, I'd probably get it wrong. I'm pretty sure that my Catholic school geography teacher is probably rolling over in her grave right now as I say that. But that all aside, Wyoming took the number 4 spot in 2024 and 2025. As the best state for retirement. It has no state income tax, so you're not being taxed on your Social Security benefits, your pensions, your 401ks, and it has no estate or inheritance tax. Property taxes are also low here. In fact, according to Wallet Hub, they are among the lowest in the states. And as a whole, really, Wyoming actually is a very affordable place to live. Its housing costs are relatively low. In addition to all of this budget-friendly stuff, Wyoming is very scenic. I suppose it would be, given that it's home to Yellowstone National Park. And Wyoming also has a very low crime rate, which may not be too surprising considering that it's the least populated state with only 5.85 people per square mile. If you're after a slower pace of life, this could be the state for you. Are any of these states piquing your interest so far? If you are looking to relocate or buy a second home in retirement, whether it be in the city, along the coast, in the mountains, click on the link below. I've built relationships with top agents in the country and also abroad. I'd be happy to connect with you, discuss exactly what your situation is, and connect you with the right agent so you can start finding your home away from home sooner rather than later. Okay, let's get back to the list. Next up, South Dakota. You're likely scratching your head on this one. I know I was. But in a shocking twist, South Dakota jumped from number 13 in 2024 to number 5 in 2025. Look, I realize if you're even considering any of these states, you have to like the cold at least a little bit. But in the case of South Dakota, you'd have to really like the cold because its average lows are 32 degrees for a high and below 10 degrees for a low. The state is also fairly rural, so if you need activities and entertainment to keep you engaged, it may not be the state for you. Unless, of course, you decide to retire in the largest city in South Dakota, which is Sioux Falls. Then you'll have your choice of restaurants, shops, entertainment activities that you could want. What does speak to retirees is the low cost of living and the high quality healthcare system. Oh, and there's no state income tax. The entire state only has 900,000 people, and 16% of that are over the age of 65. Point being is that you'd be in good company. Okay, now let's talk about Pennsylvania. I've been hearing a lot more about Pennsylvania lately, and I'm not unfamiliar with the state. I grew up in South Jersey, just across the bridge from Philly. I went to college out in the center of Pennsylvania, and my brother and his family live in the southeastern corner of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania claimed the number 10 spot in 2024 and climbed up to the number 6 spot in 2025. It's a big state, so you have a lot of choices. But if you do want to get to the coast and you live on the eastern side of the state, you just drive across Jersey and you're at the beach. There's also beautiful mountains in and around the state, and there's a lot of great ski resort areas. But if you happen to not be that outdoorsy, Pennsylvania has a lot of sports teams that you can follow. The cost of living in Pennsylvania can be higher than the national average depending on where you land in the state, but the state doesn't tax retirement income. So Social Security income and pensions are not taxed. On the downside, it does have an inheritance tax, but it does have excellent health care, with numerous of its hospitals consistently ranking as the best in the nation. And the crime rate is relatively low, as long as you're not in the cities of Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. Okay, let's move out to the Midwest and talk about Minnesota. Again, like many in this list, this is probably another state that you have not even thought about for retirement. But Minnesota came in at number 8 in 2024 and jumped up to number 2 in 2025. Look, I hear it's beautiful in the summer, but you couldn't pay me to be there in the winter. Minnesota has made the top 10 the last couple of years, mostly because of its healthcare. According to WalletHub, it has the most healthcare facilities, the second most nursing homes, and the third most home healthcare aides per capita. Plus, its geriatric hospitals rank 5th best in the nation. The cost of living here is not necessarily cheap, but its housing and utility costs are below the national average. Unfortunately, it does tax Social Security benefits, and retirement income is subject to state income tax. But there's plenty to do in Minnesota with all of its parks and lakes. My only question is, how many months can you actually enjoy those things when the winters here are so brutal and so long? But there is a vibrant cultural scene here in Minnesota, especially in cities like Minneapolis, Duluth, St. Paul, and Rochester, just to name a few. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if you are willing to trade endless summer for 4 beautiful seasons, no matter how long those seasons may go on, then these are some options that you should be considering. Because even though weather does play a big part in retirement, it's also about affordability, quality of health care, and quality of life. While you are legitimately concerned about rising prices, inflation, the future of Social Security, the fact is that if you dig a little bit, there are some of these hidden gems hidden in plain sight in the United States. I know you've been told that you have to move abroad in order to enjoy an affordable retirement. But what about if you don't want to leave family? What about if you don't want the challenges of going abroad? What about if you fear for your safety? These are all valid concerns, and they should be reasons why you should be digging a little bit deeper into the United States to see if there might be a place here where you can afford to retire. If you're curious about even more places for retirement that tend to fly under the radar, check out this next video. Thank you for joining me. I'm Alysia Shivers. Until next time.